This is me completing a wave 50 Diluvian completely solo. And I mean, just look at all the loot, man, it's amazing. And I'll be the first one to tell you that doing a solo Diluvian is easy. With the right setup and tactics, anyone can do it. And in this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do it. I'll be showcasing the best order of progression, the best PVE belts, the best techs and synergies, and I'll even reveal my secret sauce to reduce RNG as much as possible and increase your chances of pulling the exact belt that you want. So make sure you watch all the way to the end for that. And with that said, let's get straight into the build. Starting off, there's many pros to using the Gran Sudaruska. This weapon does good damage, but mainly it allows us to save points to pick up damage multipliers. I'll get into that later, but I'd say the biggest reason is that this weapon is super accessible. It's hella easy to obtain through layer 2, and because it's a legendary weapon, we don't have to spend a whole 9 to 5 shift in the Void Sea hoping for Archmage to get bored and hit the button on his desk that spawns Astral. In my opinion, this is the best mantra list for a pure ice PvE build. I mean, you've seen it 100 times. Most of the mantras such as Frozen Servants and Ice Flocks are just there to shit out damage. I won't go in depth into all the mantras, but I'll cover some of the specific use cases for the mantras. Starting off, we got Warden Blades. This mantra is super good for crowd control. You want to pop it and run around dishing out damage. This is especially useful in the later rounds where you can't be stationary but you still need to do damage. Next up is a mantra that's pretty slept on in PvE, and that's Rising Frost. For one, this mantra does a lot of damage, but the main reason I'd say it's slept on for PvE is because it lets us fly, giving us valuable seconds in the air that could be used to play our bell cooldowns. Next up is our Oath mantras. I use Blinding Dawn because of the insanely good AoE damage. In fact, this mantra is one of the highest damaging mantras in the game. Next up is Radiant Dawn. This mantra is extremely good for guard breaking, but it isn't the main reason that it's good. Similar to Rising Frost, it gives us a couple seconds to play our cooldowns. Those few seconds of iframes can be the difference between wiping and surviving. I'm combining bells and gear into one big segment because they're both kind of small, so let's get straight into your bell. If you're looking to solo Diluvian all the way up to wave 50, you really want to pick up the Corrupted Beam variant of Payback. This variant lets you redirect damage, increasing your DPS as much as possible, and preferably you want to pick up the Insanity downside. It took me a whole last Sinner's Ash and like 8 idols to get the right combo. However, I have a method that I'll get into later on in the video to increase your chances of pulling Corrupted Payback. If you're not looking to farm up wave 50 solo, I'd say the only other good bell is Sacred Field. This should easily let you farm wave 25 comfortably and support your teams in wave 50s. Going into our gear, you want to ensure that you have both Drowned and Viscosity on your gear. Drowned is a free 5% DVM, while Viscosity lets you save so much time while your health ticks. In that time, you can get health packs, use your bell for heals, or even pull the brake lever if you're about to wipe. Now going into the actual gear itself, I'm running around 45% DVM, which is pretty high, and contrary to popular belief, you don't actually need crazy high monster armor to solo Diluvian. In fact, in the last Diluvian I soloed, I only had around 13% monster armor, which is way below like the recommended 40% because you don't need it. You really want to aim towards getting your DVM as high as possible, because think of it like this: damage is sustained through health packs. To get the DVM up there, you mainly want to look out for Pathfinder, Elite, and Megalonot codes, as they come with 5% innate DVM. You want to farm out for 4% DVM rings at Ferryman, and go to Primer for 9% DVM boots and at least 5% DVM on helmets. You also want to use the Path Defender's shield. This gives you a lot of posture so you can hold F against some of the more annoying enemies and just spam your Warden Blades. Now going into the talents of this build, obviously like any good PvE build, I pick up Brick Wall. This card is vital to soloing any game mode where you're getting bum rushed by 50 different mobs at a time. Now let's break down exactly how I'm able to do a lot of damage with this build while still being tanky. First up is one of my favorite cards, and if you're a fan of my videos, you'll know exactly what I'm on about, and that's Perfect Flash. Now before you say, yes, we're gonna have this card be active as hell, just imagine how often you get HP packs in PvE. All it takes is one health pack for your matches to be doing 25% more damage. Your Blinding Dawn at the start of rounds will do 25% more damage, and when you land Payback, you will do 25% more damage. The point is, Perfect Flash is a very good talent for this build. We also pick up Ether Conduit, Lose Your Mind, and Piercing Will for even more damage in pen. Now that we've covered how this build is able to dish out so much damage, let's get into exactly how it's able to be so tanky. Other than the fact that we basically get reinforced armor completely for free by just going for Brick Wall, we also get a talent called Berserker, which gives us 20% damage resistance every time we kill something, and this applies to mobs too, making us just that extra bit more tanky. Plus, the extra carry load from strength is extremely useful. First up is a synergy that could save you from being wiped, and that's using the card Full Reset. This card is amazing for Payback and Sacred Field. With Payback, it gives you 2 full heals, and with Sacred Field, it essentially doubles the amount of time your Sacred Field lasts. Next up is combining Wooden Blades with Blinding Dawn. This makes you dish out a lot of damage very quickly. Plus, the Crystal procs exploding pushes enemies away from you, allowing you to land your full Blinding Dawn. And that's about it for the synergy section. I mean, come on guys, there isn't much to it. You just want to do as much damage as possible and abuse your mantras. Moving on to the way we actually progress this build. Firstly, you want to go pick up 30 strength and 30 intel to pick up all these important cards. Then you want to go for 50 willpower to pick up all these cards, and then 90 fortitude for reinforced armor. After that, you want to get 80 willpower for Heretic Sutra. Please do not forget heretics. Then obviously 100 fortitude and 100 willpower for brick wall. Then you want to put 1 point into your frost, heavy, and agility. After shrining, you want to get your agility up to 25, and then get your frost and heavy up for the Gran requirement. And that's basically the perfect stat order. Now moving on to the way that I actually increase my chance of pulling the exact bell that I want. And that's through Young Shell rerolls. Now just hear me out and let me cook. Now Young Shell lets us reroll our belt every 3 levels. So if around power 6 you can get your belt, that would mean you have 6 chances throughout your progression to pull the belt that you want. Now if you get lucky, you can even pull the exact corrupted belt that you want. Now you might be wondering how we actually get our belt this early on, and it's quite simple. All you gotta do is be carried through 3 to 4 Diluvians up to wave 25 to get your belt. And if you don't have a friend to carry you, you can always pay for a carry with legendaries off the Deep Woken server. This method is super useful to lower the RNG of your belt picks and just saves you a bunch of time later on. Now with everything out of the way, here are the final stats for the build. You want to go 6 vitality and 6 song chant for as much tankiness and DPS as possible. And with that, let's get straight into how we actually take on the Diluvian mechanism. Now Diluvian is only really risky if you go in with no plan, but don't worry, I got the plan to ensure you minimize your chance of wiping as much as possible. Waves 11 to 29, you just want to watch your HP and use your bow when you get low. These earlier waves are hella easy to just out DPS everything. At wave 30, remember you have your vents because it's hella easy to get infinite comboed by these troglodytes. Use your bow for heals and DPS, and use wooden blades while running around to just dish out damage. Now wave 31 is dangerous. Everything is lightning attuned, so you're gonna keep getting stunned. What you want to do is use Blinding Dawn to do as much damage as possible in the beginning of the round. Then you want to use wooden blades while abusing auto parry frames, and then spam Radiant Dawn to play your cooldowns as it's got complete hyper armor. When you drop to around 2 to 3 bars, use your bell for that full heal, and make sure you press F because if you don't parry, you won't be able to cast your bell or your mantras. At wave 33, you want to do your best trying to avoid the Hive mech. He does a lot of damage, so just clear everything else out first and get away from him. And just be careful for his down slam. That thing does like 3 bars of damage. At wave 40, you want to position yourself so that the Mystic Shrine is to your left, and immediately use wooden blades as soon as you see wave 40 appear. Focus that lightning attuned enforcer because he can really mess you up. Once he's dead, the rest is really easy. In wave 41, you just want to focus the owls and get them out of the way as quick as possible. Next is wave 42. This wave is extremely annoying because it's a no mantra wave. You just want to spam your crit and your belt and be patient with this wave because it's hella long and tedious. And from there, wave 43 to 46 is just more of mantra spamming and watching your health. Wave 47 is probably the easiest. Just group up all the enemies and use payback to kill everything at once. Wave 48 can be challenging, but it's actually quite simple. Once you've seen wave 47 fade out, use Blinding Dawn to dish out as much damage as possible. Then use your belt when you're decently low, preferably when the golems are spinning so you can reflect the most DPS. Then just use Blinding Dawn and run around to play your cooldowns. This is the bandit wave. On this wave, you want to climb to the top and just wait for your cooldowns, mainly for full reset and tidekeeper. At this point, you've come far, but it's not over yet. If it's your first time doing a solo wave 50 Diluvian, I know exactly how you're feeling. Heart's pounding and you're feeling nervous, but at this point, it's all mental. Take a second to breathe and calm down and mentally prepare yourself to smash this wave 50. And when you're ready, jump down and grip the bandit. When you see wave 49 cleared disappear, use Blinding Dawn while walking back. Then run while you use wooden blades, making sure that the mantra is hitting, keeping you at a safe distance where you can avoid heavy hits. And once you've grouped as many of the enemies together, you want to use your bell. At this point, payback is useless for heals because of the Brute Lord and it's only used for DPS. When they're all grouped together, payback's DPS is much higher, so you want to make sure that when you're using your payback, that beam hits. After that, you want to use Blinding Dawn and Rising Frost to play your cooldowns. Rinse and repeat while running around and spamming wooden blades and your bell. You can outrun everything in wave 50 for a few seconds, especially when you use wooden blades as it pushes enemies away from you. And after you've cleared the large majority of the enemies, at this point you've basically won and the loot is all yours. I hope you guys enjoyed the loot as much as I did. This video was a big one, so it took a while to put together. But thank you for watching. I love you guys, and if you keep finding yourself coming back to my channel, please consider subscribing. And yeah, with that said, Kaido out.